This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Friday, May 21st, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, a bloody war coming to an end. We've got the latest on the ceasefire overseas. A look at where the coronavirus cases stand as signs emerge the pandemic is coming to an end. A support group putting everything on the line. Who is at the center of their efforts? We'll explore. The SEC trying to keep college sports afloat. We're breaking down the financial support they're giving. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin in Israel with Hamas and the ceasefire. They've agreed to it. This ends the brutal 11-day war that killed more than 200 people and caused widespread destruction in the Gaza Strip. Israel said it crippled Hamas's terror infrastructure, while Hamas claims it still has the military resources to target Israeli civilians with more rockets. And joining us now from Jerusalem is Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. Chris, we are getting reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's political base believes he stopped the operation too soon. What has the Prime Minister said in response to that?
Well, Ephraim, actually, three-quarters of Israelis feel like the operation stopped too soon. He was just on live TV here in Israel. He said he stopped it because they had accomplished most of their goals. They had degraded Hamas. And if they needed to go into Gaza, and that was a possibility, Ephraim, with ground troops, they would have done that. But he defended the action, and they said they really had accomplished most of their goals of degrading Hamas's military infrastructure.
We have a ceasefire. Is there hope that this will last?
Well, Ephraim, a lot of people have hope it's going to last, but I think realistically, a lot of people say that there's only a certain amount of time before, once again, Hamas and those other Islamic groups inside Gaza are going to be battling Israel right now. For Hamas and these other groups, it's really a jihad. It's a religious war. We talked to an Islamic expert yesterday, and he says really they have a lot of patience. Their long-term goal is destroying Israel. It's part of their charter. And the IDF hopes it's going to bring up maybe 5 years of quiet. That remains to be seen. Some think it's going to be a lot shorter before Hamas and Israel are at it once again.
Chris, the U.S. is traditionally pro-Israel. Has the Biden presidency deviated from that?
Yes, they have to a certain extent. There were 6 phone calls between President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Each one seemed to increase the pressure just a bit. And that's part of what's happening, the pressure that now Joe Biden is getting from the left wing of his Democratic Party. That includes the Squad, Elizabeth Warren, Senator Bernie Sanders. And they've even introduced legislation that would ban military sales to Israel, these bunker-busting bombs that Israel was using throughout this campaign. So, yeah, it has changed there in the Democratic Party, and that was reflected in the relationship between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Chris, less than 30 seconds. It's been a busy week there. What's on Jerusalem Dateline this evening?
Well, we're going to have a redemptive story, Ephraim, in the midst of this. There was a direct hit on one apartment, a really miracle story. We'll have that. And actually, we'll be having more about what's going on internally here in Israel. And by the way, we're also going to have a webinar tomorrow, people about the crisis. People can check it out. It's going to be 2 o'clock East Coast time on CBNnews.com. People can look for it there.
Thank you so much for your reporting. All eyes right now on the Senate after 35 Republicans joined with every House Democrat to establish a bipartisan commission to investigate the January 6th Capitol attack. The question now is, will 10 GOP senators follow suit to make the commission move from an issue to a reality? CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson has more.
You'll have to ask them what they're afraid of.
The current legislation would create an evenly split 9/11-style commission to look into what happened and make recommendations on Capitol security.
I ask my colleagues to consider the fact that this commission is built to work, and it will be depoliticized, and it will get the results we need.
Although Republican Congressman John Katko negotiated concessions for his party, its future is unsure, with both the House and Senate minority leaders encouraging members to oppose it.
It's not at all clear what new facts or additional investigation yet another commission could actually lay on top of existing efforts by law enforcement and Congress.
Democrats like Congressman Tim Ryan strongly disagree.
We need 2 political parties in this country that are both living in reality, and you ain't one of them.
calling GOP opposition a slap in the face to law enforcement across the country.
We have people scaling the Capitol, hitting the Capitol Police with lead pipes across the head, and we can't get bipartisanship. What else has to happen in this country?
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy argues ongoing investigations are enough.
You've got 2 committees in the Senate already doing their investigation. I believe in 2 weeks they'll already have their report back. You got the architect of the Capitol given $10 million to study what we need done here to protect it. And then you got the Justice Department, rightfully does a much better job than we could ever do. I just think a Pelosi commission is a lot of politics.
Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Good news on the pandemic. Cases are down to their lowest levels since last June. And now states are getting creative to encourage more residents to get vaccinated. Senior Washington correspondent Jennifer Wishon explains.
New cases of COVID-19 have dropped to below 30,000 per day for the first time in a year. 60% of Americans have received at least one shot. And now the race continues to meet the president's goal of vaccinating 70% of adults by the 4th of July.
If we get to the president's goal, there will be enough protection in the community that I really don't foresee that there being the risk of a surge, provided we continue to get people vaccinated at the rate we have now.
But vaccination rates are slowing down, and now some states are offering cash to get more shots into arms.
I feel good knowing I'm gonna be vaccinated, but it's also a good feeling not going $1 million.
In New York, a vaccination gets you a chance to win a $5 million top prize in a new scratch ticket.
Everybody wins. You have a 1 in 9 chance of winning the lottery, but you get the vaccine and you win.
Meanwhile, a new survey from Cleveland Clinic and Parade magazine shows the pandemic is taking its toll. Nearly half of Americans say they've experienced changes in their physical and mental health over the past year. Women, young and unmarried adults, and families making less than $50,000 show particular strain. And for our mental health, as states open back up, experts are encouraging people to get back out into their communities.
Now that many of us have become vaccinated and many of the states have opened up again, it's important to remember to communicate with people and to interact with them in real time. We need those interactions.
Important reunions during this season of renewal. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Another pandemic low on jobless claims this week, falling more than expected. The continued drop in unemployment claims is a good sign. The labor market is still improving as more Americans get vaccinated and return to work amid the coronavirus pandemic. First-time jobless claims fell to 444,000 last week. That is according to the Labor Department. Below filings, analysts expected some 450,000. Even amid the hopeful economic growth, there are still 8.2 million fewer jobs than there were before COVID-19 hit back in February of 2020. A school board meeting rated X. Lewd passages read out loud by parents up in arms. So what's the source of the jaw-dropping words? Assigned readings for students in the 9th grade. What is going on in Virginia's Loudon County, many are asking, and whose heads may roll because of it? Tara Mergener reveals the outrageous details behind this explosive scandal.
Loudon County had already become ground zero for a number of national debates, mainly because parents are making noise. A warning, what you're about to hear is offensive.
Every time she made too much noise, I'd walk in and kick her.
Jasper wasn't even my boyfriend, just this dude I did some hacking with once in a while.
It's okay. It's cool. This is what girls do at parties.
Those jaw-dropping words read by mothers from books recommended to students in Loudon County Public Schools. Now a move to recall some school board members may be gaining steam.
Ian Pryor says the Loudon County School Board is abusing its power.
But when it comes to parents that want answers to what their kids are being taught or not taught in school, they have no answers.
Pryor is among a growing number of frustrated parents forming the Fight for Schools Political Action Committee.
We're going to talk about the need for change in the Loudon County School Board.
Collecting about 2,500 signatures so far, aimed at unseating several board members, accused of using a secret Facebook page to target parents who oppose them.
They're looking to push material or
or thoughts into a school system and less focus on, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
School board meetings often boiling over. Last week, several angry moms took it up a notch, shocking the crowd by holding up signs and reading aloud sexually explicit passages from books on the high school reading list. Another word of warning, what you're about to hear is offensive.
I grab her by the neck and start punching her.
He had a big and sometimes a girl just needs a big.
His pants around his ankles squeezed between April's straddled legs as she lay on top of a teacher's desk.
How did we get these unacceptable topics? Well, one, you didn't follow your procurement policies when you bought $1.8 million worth of these trash books.
Interim Superintendent Scott Ziegler declined CBN's request for an interview. The only school board member who answered our calls told CBN she could not speak for other members, but that she did not read the material in question, nor are members required to do so. On another sensitive subject, the district denies Loudon's so-called equity plan is a disguise for getting critical race theory into classrooms. This mother, though, doesn't buy it.
CRT is racist. It is abusive. It discriminates against one's color. We don't want your political advertisement to divide our children or belittle them.
Ziegler describes the district's equity priorities as an effort to provide a welcoming, inclusive, affirming environment for all students. Meanwhile, Pryor is hoping backlash here will also inspire other communities to fight back.
This country was founded on the ability of people to disagree. And what we're seeing in Loudon County Public Schools is that there is no room for disagreement with their agenda.
Recall efforts are rarely successful in Virginia, most failing to get the required signatures or getting dismissed by the judge for insufficient evidence. But Pryor believes these board members are in for a rude awakening. Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Coming up, why a group of parents fear losing everything in a fight for their children's well-being. We'll explore this story when we come back. Thank you for watching.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Losing friends and family relationships and putting their jobs at risk. That's what a support group of parents is willing to do to protect their children who identify as transgender. CBN's Heather Sells is following this story.
Across the country, there's an underground movement of parents heartbroken that their children are identifying as trans. They're worried that they will irreversibly harm themselves. And some are backing legislation to ban hormones and surgery.
We met recently with 10 parents from a support group based in a southern city.
Each fears social and professional backlash for speaking out and decline to show their face, except for group leaders Kevin and Christy Sisson. Their 21-year-old daughter has publicly identified as trans for several years. They only learned of her mastectomy, however, over Thanksgiving.
I actually saw a post on social media.
She was completely nude up top. It was just heartbreaking because that's what I have been hoping that I could stop.
These trans-identifying kids and young adults encourage each other through TikTok, YouTube, Tumblr, and other social media. The parents we met describe similar patterns, what they see as almost a trans playbook.
She did not inform us until she was a senior in college. So at this point, she had had 2 years of everyone around her affirming her.
Kate and her husband first thought they had successfully talked their daughter out of her new identity. Then, after graduation, she moved out of state and issued demands.
She sent us a video telling us that she had lied to us, that she was still a man and that she was planning on going forward, and that if we sent her any mail in a name other than her new name, she would send it back unopened. If we showed up and called her by her old name, she would call the police on us for harassment.
Steve and his wife also received demands from their college-age son. The last time they saw him, the hormone treatment had already begun.
He was starting to grow breasts. You know, his voice, whether real or, you know, acting, was higher.
The Sissons say that in the last 6 months, their support group has grown to 20 families. They're part of an international organization, Parents of Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria Kids. 1,500 have joined since 2017, with groups or clusters in 49 states. The organization serves primarily as a support to these parents, distraught over their children's sudden change. This group is going a step further by speaking out in favor of legislation they believe could help other families. Bills that would prevent doctors from providing hormones, puberty blockers, or surgery to children.
We want to do as a state everything that we can to protect these youth from making decisions that they may significantly regret later in their lives.
North Carolina is one of 16 states considering legislation. One proposed bill would make the treatments illegal for young people under 21. Right now, the age of consent is 18.
When a child turns 18, it's almost like they want to give themselves a birthday gift of hormones. And once they get on the hormones, the next step is to have some type of gender reassignment surgery.
There's also an oophorectomy, which is just removing both the ovaries on either side.
The field of gender reassignment surgery is rapidly growing and includes numerous options to remove reproductive organs. Tens of thousands of young people are finding ways to pay, even through sites like GoFundMe. Trans activists and much of the medical profession maintain the hormones and surgeries are compassionate by helping to address mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and suicide. Some hormone experts, though, like Dr. Paul Ruse, point out there is no long-term research on how they affect the body.
They're collecting data on these children over time to see what happens. And so it's going to be 10, 20, or 30 years from now before we understand what is going on. And the question that needs to be asked is, if this turns out not to be a good approach, how many children are going to be harmed?
President Biden has long pushed acceptance for these kids, even as young as 8, who say they're transgender.
For all transgender Americans watching at home, especially young people, you're so brave. I want you to know your president has your back.
The parents we spoke with said they could lose relationships with family and friends, and even their jobs, if they speak out publicly.
I don't want to face the people who are going to say that I'm a transphobe or that I'm a bigot.
We're in the minority, and it's hard to stand up against this tidal wave right now. And you might lose family and friends over it. We have. But I am not going to sacrifice my child's well-being in order to get along.
They also grieve the profound loss that comes with estrangement. many with children who have cut themselves off. Still, these parents tell us they're holding out hope that at some point their children will return.
I told her that. Whenever she's ready to come home, just let me know.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
And still ahead, who's providing a financial rescue for college athletics? We'll explore this story when we come back with Sports Director Sean Brown. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
College athletes and fans hope to return to a sense of normalcy this year, but colleges are still feeling the financial hit of COVID-19. The Southeastern Conference is trying to help, and here to tell us about the SEC decision and what it's doing to help colleges is CBN Sports Director Sean Brown. So, Sean, what exactly is the SEC doing?
Hi, Ephraim. Yes. So during the 2021 season, colleges across the country, obviously, their athletic programs took a huge hit financially with game postponements, cancellations, shorter seasons, little to no fans. And so specifically, the SEC decided to create a supplement, a $23 million supplement to offset the revenue lost to all 14 members of the conference. And so basically what they've done is they've taken from future increases in media rights, basically TV deals that they know they're going to make money back from future deals, and decided to give $23 million to all 14 schools within the conference. And that money's basically going to go to, supporting the program. And so basically what they've done is they've said, all right, hey, we know you lost money, roughly on average $45 million per school. And revenue was lost. And so $23 million to supplement and offset the cost for that.
So we know they're going to get the funds. What exactly are those funds supposed to be used for?
Yeah, so offsetting the cost for things like, they have a high standard for academic excellence, athletics, medical, nutrition, mental health. They want to offset some of the costs that were spent on COVID testing. They spent a couple million, on COVID testing just to make sure that students could participate and so forth. And so a lot of the funds are going to go to that, of course, making sure their athletic programs can run at a high level. And it's not $45 million, but at least it supplements some of that money so that these schools can continue to compete and perform at a high level in our athletic program as well as in their academics.
Indeed, and of course fans do want to see that. What can we expect this weekend on Going the Distance?
Hey man, I've got Will Dawson and Tom Bearing bringing us some stories. Justin Allgaier, a NASCAR driver. We've got Kentucky defensive end Josh Paschal. And we also have from Tom Beering a story with David Baker, the Pro Football Hall of Fame CEO and president, kind of breaking it down, what it means in Canton when NFL players get enshrined there. So got some great stories coming up this weekend.
All right, look forward to that. And you can catch Going the Distance with Sean Brown this weekend on the CBN News Channel, 6:30 on Saturday, 7:30 on Sunday, both Eastern Standard Times. Still ahead, a miraculous car rescue by a Virginia deputy. We've got the moment on video. You want to see this? Stay with us.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
A Virginia sheriff's deputy with a record of saving lives comes to the rescue of a driver who was trapped in an overturned car. Deputy Holt arrived at the scene where the driver's head was pinned by the sunroof. The woman's son who escaped the car was pleading for help, so the deputy physically lifted the vehicle up enough for the driver to get her head out. Wow, amazing. Time now for your Faithful Friday, and today I want to leave you with this thought. God's grace is a place of peace. Walk in it, live in it, and never leave it. There's a song that reminds us of this truth. Surrounded by your love, I found a place of peace. I can feel your love rushing over me, and I don't want to leave. With that word, make this a fabulous Friday, and be sure to have yourself a wonderful weekend. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel anytime. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We look forward to seeing you right back here come Monday. Goodbye and God bless.